Hello, welcome to the EPG Pathshala program in linguistics. I am Pramod Pandey, Professor, Center for Linguistics, Jawaharlal Nehru University. I am the principal investigator of this project. We are now going to listen to the presentation of the module, The Passive Construction. The module has been authored by Professor K. A. Jayashilan, retired professor, English and Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad.
The passive construction. Introduction. Any traditional grammar book will discuss active-passive sentences in pairs as given from 1 to 5. For example, an active sentence is, most children dislike spinach. The passive of this would be, spinach is disliked by most children. However, the children are not doing anything, nor is my friend doing anything. However, the children are not doing anything, nor is my friend doing anything. Correspondingly, spinach and the building are not suffering in any way. Traditional grammar correlated sentence pairs like the A and B of sentences 1 to 5 because they exhibited some shared properties such as they have the same verb, although with a small difference in the morphological form of the verb. They have a semantic correspondence. The direct object of the active sentence becomes the subject of the passive sentence, and the subject of the active sentence becomes the object of a preposition by. Since the participle form of a verb cannot bear tense, the passive sentence in English has an auxiliary verb be which bears the tense. Therefore, in 1b, we have was broken, where broken is a passive participle that cannot bear tense, and the tense is borne by was. Although the copula be is the commonly used auxiliary in English passives, English also has some instances of get passives. For example, as you can see in 7a, b and c, he got hit by a bullet. My friend got fired from the job. My window got broken. Note that a get passive has some strict semantic requirements. For example, the subject of the passive has to be truly affected by the action in a negative way. Thus, one cannot say, my friend got loved by a beautiful girl, or the rainbow got seen by many children. So, what is the communicative function of a passive? It is basically a way of foregrounding the patient of the action. For example, 8A and B. What happened to your car? Why is it all smashed up? It was hit by a tractor. Here, the interest is in the patient. In some other context, one does not even know who the agent of the action is. For example, thousands of young men were killed in the Second World War. His money was stolen in the hotel room. Arabic is written from right to left. Now, the early attempts of transformational grammar to formally state the active-passive relation assume that the sentences of an active-passive pair are derived from the same deep structure, that the passive sentence is derived from the active sentence by the passive transformation, that the passive transformation is an optional transformation. For example, look at the sentence 10a, which has the deep structure 10b. The affix hopping rule, which suffixes the tense morpheme to the verb, and we get the past tense of see, that is saw. But now, what do we have to do to get the passive counterpart 11a, which must have the structure 11b? So therefore, the passive transformation includes 3 operations. Suppose we postulate the deep structure 12 for the passive sentence, which is basically the same as the sentence we saw earlier, that is, the students saw the movie, which is the deep structure of the active sentence, except for the addition of the optional prepositional phrase by delta. Note that we have generated the by phrase with an empty prepositional object position. So, the first operation is to demote the subject NP to this empty position as shown in 13. This gives us the structure 14, which has an empty subject position. Now that the subject position is empty, we can promote the object to the subject position, and this is the second operation. Now 16 gives us the sentence, the movie saw by the students, which is of course ungrammatical and which is not the sentence that we want. So we need a third operation that introduces the auxiliary be together with its associated inflectional suffix n between the tense morpheme and the verb as seen in 17. The past of see, which is seen. And we have successfully derived the passive sentence, the movie was seen by the students, which was same as we saw earlier in 11a. The government in binding theory proposed certain constraints for grammatical rules. That is, many guidelines were given about what a rule of grammar could not do. One such constraint said that movement is always upwards in a tree because the moved element should end up in a position where C commands its trace. Therefore, downward movements were disallowed. So our operation 1 in the previous passive transformation that we saw, which moves the subject to the object position of by, violates this constraint. Also, it was felt that the transformations should not be made too powerful. Therefore, another constraint was necessary, which said that a transformation should not introduce new morphological material into a derivation. And our operation 3, which inserted b plus n into the tree, also becomes unacceptable according to the GB theory. So the only part of the old passive transformation that now survived was operation 2, which moves the direct object into the subject position. Chomsky felt that this movement was the essence of the passive transformation. In GB theory, the old claim that an active-passive pair of sentences have the same deep structure was abandoned, and the deep structure of a passive sentence now looked like as you can see in 18. The raising to subject construction. The two sentences in 20a and b have the same meaning, but they show some interesting differences. In GB, we say that the two sentences are derived from similar, but not exactly the same deep structure. In 20a, the embedded clause has tense in the deep structure, which is absent in the embedded clause of 20b. The deep structure of the two sentences would look like as you can see in 20a- and 20b-. Note that the two deep structures are minimally different. The embedded clause in 20a- has the complementizer that in the comp position, and also it has tense. In contrast, the embedded clause of 20b- has no complementizer because it is non-finite, and it has no tense. In its position, we have the infinitive marker 2. In GP, we have a principle called the case filter, which says that every NP should have a case. You can see that in 21, which basically means that an NP which has no case is ungrammatical. Given the case filter, John in 20b- must move to a case marked position if the sentence is to be saved. And that is what happens as shown in 22. And this gives us the string shown in 23. In GB, Chomsky generalized the raising to subject movement that we have seen above with the object to subject movement of the passive. That is, he claimed that it is the same movement. Now we saw that the movement in the raising to subject construction is made necessary by the case filter. Does the object to subject movement of the passive construction also have the same motivation? Yes, it does. Passive morphology absorbs the verb's accusative case. In 18, the participle verb is unable to case mark the NP2, the movie, which therefore moves to the subject position to get nominative case. In GB, Chomsky generalized the movement in the passive construction and the one in the raising to subject construction as the same movement and called it NP movement. It has properties such as the moved element is an NP. The NP moves from a non-case marked position to a case marked position. Its movement is motivated by the case filter. Lexical functional grammar. As is well known, lexical categories such as nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs can often be derived from one another by morphological processes like suffixation. Examples you can see in 25A and B. Nobody would argue, at least in contemporary linguistic theory, that these forms should be treated as transformations. But why should the passive particle be derived from the verb n in the syntax? We saw that in GB, the passive particle is formed from the active form of the verb by suffixing n, but this is done in the syntax specifically by affix hopping. A group of linguists in the 1970s argued that the active-passive relation should be analyzed as a lexical relation and that the meaning correspondence of active-passive pairs should be expressed as a lexical redundancy rule, as seen in 26. Just as a lexical rule can say that the subject of eatable in the sentence, this fruit is eatable, is the same as the object of eat in the sentence, we eat this fruit. Another lexical rule says that the subject of eaten, as in the sentence, this fruit is eaten, is same as the object of eat in the sentence, we eat this fruit. A movement rule or a transformational rule of any kind does not come into the picture in either case. The linguist who pursued this line of thinking under the leadership of John Bresnan established another theory which has come to be known as the lexical functional grammar. They maintain that grammatical relations such as subject and object are primitives or grammatical theory, that lexical rules can refer to these relations and state generalizations in terms of them, and that all grammatical relation changing rules are lexical rules. Another instance of a grammatical relation changing rule is what we saw as the raising to subject construction. In this type of sentence, the subject of an embedded clause becomes the subject of the matrix clause. Lexical functional grammar formulated this rule also as a lexical redundancy rule.
Summary. So we have looked at the various issues related to an account of the passive construction. We have seen how the passive construction can have a unified account in relation to other aspects of the theory of transformational generative grammar, especially the need to have two levels of representation, the deep structure and the surface structure, mediated by transformations. The transformation involved here is the NP movement transformation. And in addition, we have also looked at how the passive construction is accounted for in the government and binding theory, as well as in contending lexicalist functional theory. We hope you will be able to do the exercises that are suggested for this module in order to be able to better appreciate the different critical issues relating to an account of the passive construction. Thank you.